Hi, everyone. Listen, happy Saturday. Good afternoon. I'm not going to be before you long because actually my nail girl is waiting for me. She has like two more people before it's time for me to come. So thank you for joining me really quick, for this quick conversation I want to have with everybody. Unfortunately, yet again, here in the United States, we had to hear about a massacre, a tragedy at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, and 19 children died. Two teachers also passed. And then, unfortunately, I don't know if you all have heard, one of the teachers, her husband, he actually came and was putting, like, how they do like a memorial around the school with flowers and candles and things. He literally went to put flowers down at the site. And then, unfortunately, this man literally had a heart attack and he passed also. And it's like, what do we do about this? Like, we hear about this too often, especially here in the United States. I was just looking up some details here, and this is since 2009. I don't even know what the numbers are before 2009. And this research, I don't even believe includes these recent numbers. But it says since 2009, there have been 274 mass shootings in the United States, resulting in 1,536 people shot and killed and 983 people shot and wounded. Now that is horrific. And it's like, what is the United States going to do about this? It's like, enough is enough. Died of a broken heart. Yes, he did. Thank you for bringing awareness to this, Eva. You're welcome. Thanks for joining, Monique. Yes, he did. And it was tragic. Let me tell you, when even way before the pandemic, I stopped being a news watcher to the level that I used to be, because unfortunately, by design, the news is nothing but depressing stuff. And if you keep, what you feed yourself is almost what you become. So I try not to watch it so much. But let me give you a little bit more information how other countries, when they have these tragedies, they jump on it and do something about it right away. So in Britain, right, in 1987, Michael Robert Ryan, he gunned down 16 people in Hungerford, England. In response, officials called for an investigation into Ryan's legal ownership of guns he used, and the Firearms Act of 1988 was then passed to outlaw semi-automatic weapons. So right away, they did something about it. In Australia, there was this guy, Martin Bryant, killed 35 people in Tasmania using a legally purchased semi-automatic rifle in April 1996. The Australian government coordinated with states to restrict the ownership of automatic and semi-automatic guns within a year. And within a year, the government brought back 650,000 firearms. So there's stuff that can be done, but I'm not finished. Let me give you just two more. In New Zealand, in 2019, there was this guy, okay, he opened fire at two mosques in a Christchurch, killing 51 Muslims, okay? And he used a AR-15 style rifle. Less than 24 hours later, the prime minister, he announced that the country would change its gun laws. What are we waiting for, right? We had 274 documented since 2009 in the United States. Why are we slow to respond? In Canada in 2020, someone killed 22 people. He was armed with two semi-automatic rifles and two pistols. 2 weeks later, the prime minister announced a ban on more than 1,500 make and models of military-style assault weapons. And then I told you, since 2009 in the United States, there has been 274 mass shootings. Unfortunately, at this Robb Elementary School, wait, someone wrote something here. Let me just see this. Miss Gigi, USA is rooted in its guns, and these politicians continue to wreck our lives because they don't want things to change, because they remain in power and they are in the pockets of the NRA. Well, that is problematic too, this whole NRA and how they fund a lot of these politicians. And then also, which is very insensitive, and although it was planned already, the NRA convention is in Texas, I believe. believe it just happened yesterday, or maybe it started yesterday, and they decided to carry on with this convention, right? And how insensitive. You have 19, what was it? Let me just go back. I don't want to misquote it here. It altogether, was it 19 people, or was it 19 children? And it's 19 children and two teachers that passed in this situation. And you have that they're still going to have this convention in the very state in which this tragedy happened. And so many people are like, well, well, let me back up and say this. Here's another unfortunate part. There's so many discrepancies in the details as to how that tragedy was handled that day. And I am definitely not here to bash the police. I know several of them. I have several friends that are police. And I personally have like a false sense of security, because literally 2 doors down from me, my girlfriend's son, he is like the state police, and I don't know, I feel protected. I personally do not like guns. I personally don't ever want to own one. And in the state in which I live, you can own one. You have to get a license. But the crazy thing is, you have to have it locked away when it's in your home, and you cannot have the ammunition and the weapon in the same secured spot. So my thing is, if someone ever does come in your home to get you, what are the chances of you being able to go get that weapon, put it together, put the ammunition in it, and kind of save yourself? I know different people have different ideas about carrying in states that are open carry. I just feel that, if you don't, I was always, there's this saying that says, if you do not bring a gun to the party, then nobody can get shot, right? So it's like, to me, we have to figure out what is the happy medium. Let me see what Gigi said. If this tragedy did not stop them from holding the NAI conference, nothing well. Yeah, they have an agenda. Texas has a loosey-goosey gun laws. It's the wild, wild west. It's sad. It's tragic. But it's not only there, because remember, not too long before this happened, unfortunately, we had the tragedy in the Buffalo supermarket situation, where again it was an 18-year-old. 10 people were killed there and 3 were wounded. So my problem is with allowing someone so young to get something so deadly in their hands. Listen, just to get your driver's license, there's so much that you have to go through as a young person. You have to take a test. I don't know anything about the laws and when you're trying to purchase one of these weapons, but is there a test? Like, do you have to fill out an application, or are you literally just able, because you have the money, to go in there and purchase it? And I think that should be the beginning of some changing of the rules around this, because, right, you cannot just go say, oh, I'm going to drive today like I'm old enough. You have to take a written test. You have to study for that test. You have to actually take the driving test. And then when you do get your license as a young adult, you can only, I know, because my son is starting to drive, you can't be out past like a certain time at night. You also cannot have more than one person in your car if an adult is not in the car with you. So why is it some things that even though a car can be a deadly weapon too, I mean, if somebody's impaired or something like that, but why is it that there's some things in life where the rules are so tight and it's harder to do the thing, and there's other things where the rules are so loose? I think that store should be in trouble too, because how do you allow, and where did he get this money from, right? But how do you allow someone to purchase an expensive weapon, right? One day, then the next day come with enough ammunition to like wipe out like a whole bunch of people, and then the next day buy some more weapons? It's like, are you that greedy for money? Should there not be some alerts going on? If I have a store, that I'm selling, weapons, is it not my responsibility to say, okay, this person came in here today They bought 7 of this one, 8 of this one, and they bought all of this ammunition. It's like, I don't know. I feel like it should be reported. What are you saying, Ms. Gigi? The NRA conference, you can't bring a gun. Go figure. Are you serious? No need for automatic assault weapons. These are streets we live on, and we're not in a war zone. I'm in 100% agreement with you, Gigi. I don't get it, but isn't that interesting? So you feel that this thing is deadly enough that the conference, you can't bring one there, but you can. That just makes no sense to me. That's pure insanity. And Gigi, do you know, are they like, do you have to fill out some type of application? Um, what are the rules in order for you to get this deadly weapon? Like, do you have to fill out an application? Is there a waiting period? And to me, I would think at the very least, especially at such a young age, that unless you live on some, like you're using it for hunting or something like that, I feel like you shouldn't even be able to buy but so much. Um, but so much in a certain time period. I'm with you, and yes, Miss Gigi, I also agree. Yeah, I think it's pure insanity. Like, it's not right. And so the law enforcement there, they have. I don't think we're ever going to know the full truth of what happened that day and why, because the law enforcement there has different stories than the parents that were there, and the law enforcement actually kept changing the story. Here's the thing: they said initially that security was there and confronted the guy, and then the kid, right? Confronted the kid, and then fire was exchanged. But then they later recanted that story. And I think this is just me, thinking this thing through. I think that a security or armed officer was supposed to be working that day. I also feel like the person probably clocked in that day. And I also feel like, unfortunately, when the situation happened, even though they was allegedly there, they wasn't really physically there. They were wherever they were. And I think people are so used to things not happening. And once you try to get over on the system, it's a trickle effect, right? So I'm supposed to be at work, but I'm gonna go run to the store really quickly and come right back. And then it turns from I'm gonna run to the store real quickly to I'm gonna go do all my shopping, or I'm not gonna physically go there until XYZ time. So I really wholeheartedly believe part of the discrepancies in the story was because that particular guard or security guard was actually supposed to be at work. Then they had discrepancies of this door kind of being propped open. For the most part, everything that I know, all of these schools now in the United States, or at least most of them, once the children are in the school doors are locked, right? And then I know as a parent, if you need to go to the school, I can't just walk up to my son's school and just pull the front door open and get in. Like, they have an intercom system. It says all visitors to the front. They have an intercom system, and I have to buzz it, and they ask like, "Who are you?" And then they let you in. All I know is if you have to complete application for guns, but what's to stop the applicant from lying? Who vets these applications for real? Oh, I do agree with you, Gigi. And here's the thing: I think it should be on the responsibility of the store that is selling it, right? And at the end of the day, people can always lie. But again, I think that particular store, because from my understanding, he got everything from the same shop. So if I went to the same shop, like you got to think something sinister is going on. If I'm coming there to the same shop and I'm buying all this ammunition, or do you just not care because you want to make the sale? So I think that at the very least, you should say, you know what, before you can buy all of that, it's a 24 to 48-hour waiting period, and they have to notify authorities, and because this has to stop, right? This has to stop. And it's like, where do we put our foot down? The United States, it's like, what are we waiting for? Does it have to hit a certain area in order for them to make a change and make a difference? And I will say this, for us, at the very least, it can start with the voting. I'm tired of the Dems and the Republicans placing blame. They need to come together and formulate a solution ASAP. Oh my goodness, I really do feel, you know what, and that's the other thing too. Everything is kind of designed to separate the people, to always keep us separated, right? So we have Democrats, we have Republicans, we have the independent party, and it's like it's all just to keep us separate. And I think it's a bunch of nonsense. And you are absolutely right. We need to come together and make and do something about this, and do something about it ASAP. How did that person pay? That's what I'm thinking. Sean, I was shocked too. Like, where do you get all of that money from at 18 to pay for all of this? Like, it's not making, the whole thing doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It just doesn't make sense. My heart goes out to, and it's a lot of dynamics that we don't know, right? Because I'm guessing he was living with the grandparents. I saw the grandmother, unfortunately, she's still in the hospital. I saw the grandfather apologizing because the grandfather said, listen, those are my friends, grandbabies. It's just disgusting. And then the mother spoke, and the mother was like, forgive my son, forgive me, blame me for this. Well, unfortunately, no one wants to hear that right now. It's bigger than this. And what was going on with this kid? Schools are locked in one main interest, yes. But it is reported that a teacher supposedly propped the door open to retrieve herself. Oh my God, from a car. That's how he supposedly got in. Now, Gigi, I did hear that, and you know what? I feel for that teacher also. Um, I feel for that teacher also, but I did hear that the door was propped open. And listen, let me say this to you. I worked in the hospital, so I worked in the pediatric unit. And prior to working there, I had no idea that this was the case. Well, for the most part that I know of, most pediatric units are locked, and so are the newborn nurseries. They're locked. You have to get buzzed in, and the person that's buzzing you in has to ask you questions before they actually buzz you in. And we also had, I'm gonna call them little monitors for lack of a better word, but we will also tag every child and every baby with a little monitor. So even if you did happen to slip in and you tried to grab a baby, you wouldn't get anywhere because everything would go lockdown, because it would start beeping that monitor, closer to you got to the door. So, and here's the thing. I have, and it's sad to say, because all you have to do is buzz to get back in. But I have in my lifetime propped the door open because I was like, okay, I don't want to go through all this. I'm gonna be right back. I'm just gonna run, get this, and come right back. But now we see how just that simple little thing, it changed the time period. It changed the world. It's so sad. Schools are locked. Oh, yeah, I think I read that one already. Yeah, yeah. So that was very sad. So, and now here's the thing. God bless. I heard there was one girl. I think it was a girl that, and imagine the mindset. Imagine all of the therapy that these children are going to need, because one of the girls, she literally took blood from one of her classmates and kind of put it over her so that she can play like she was no longer alive, so that she can stay alive, right? So imagine having to think like this. And the officers are pretty much part of their thing that they're saying is that this never happened before. Well, we had 274, like I said, mass shootings in the United States. And maybe it never happened in your town before, but you still have to be prepared to handle these types of things. And there's certain jobs that you sign up for. And literally, when you, as a result of signing up for that job, then it is your responsibility to, you know what I'm saying? Is, what how make it make sense? I don't know why is my thing always it only does audio, but I'm glad you chimed in. Can you hear me? Let me try again. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't know why you won't come up. I don't know why it only does audio.
I don't know. There should be a button that says add to stream. Do you see that?
Yeah,
Like three
yeah,
dots?
it does. And but lately everybody that's been coming through, instead of is when it asks to stream, it only does, let me see, maybe here. Yeah, I
That's
don't know why.
funny, Diva. I thought you were so some really large people only like to be the person on the screen, so they do call-ins. I was like, oh, Diva's a diva.
Ah, no, I don't mind at all, but I don't know why. I'm gonna have to figure it out later. I don't know why it does that. But no, but chime in. What are your thoughts?
Um, Kind of what I wrote. I've seen so much. I was actually going to do this topic, but I'm glad that you're doing it because I think more people need to. It's
Right.
just about doing it in a respectful manner.
Yes.
Um, but I'm really tired of the blame being placed. If we don't, as Americans, eventually come together, then these things are going to keep happening because people are both parties are going to stay on their own side of the aisle. They're going to
Yeah.
hunker down, and we're going to have another one and another one and another one. So it's really discouraging, to be honest with you.
It is so sad and it's so disheartening. And can I tell you, I had to turn off the news because there was another dad. I don't know if he's a single dad, but I only saw the dad. He just kept crying and said, my baby girl, like, what did she do? And I mean, it's heart wrenching. And I was like, okay, I have to take it in doses, um, because I can't imagine. And some people, they actually, I think they had an award ceremony, maybe not too, like a little bit earlier before this happened. And one mother was saying, like, if I knew, but of course you don't know, right? She said, I would have took my baby home with me after the award ceremony. So literally, she has the picture with the child holding up the award, and then now her child is gone. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's so incredibly sad. And it's like, when are we going to make a change? When are we going to do something about this? And like I said, there was 4 other countries that they literally immediately changed the law. I personally, I mean, I'm not against anybody who wants to carry one. I personally feel like, me as a regular citizen, why do I need a gun? Why do I need a gun? What am I going to do with it? How am I going to change anything?
I
Just
don't mind
imagine.
having guns. I don't see an issue with being able to protect yourself. Um,
Uh-huh.
the type of guns that are available to you is what I see an issue with.
Those semi-automatics, right?
Yeah, if somebody comes up to my home and you're speaking to somebody who has been robbed multiple times, if
Uh-huh.
somebody comes up to me, I should be able to defend them in kind. I should be able to defend them in the same way they are trying to rob me. But I don't think that you need a weapon that is made for the army or the
Right.
military. I
Yeah.
don't think that you need that. And I don't even know if changing or repealing that law would stop people from getting it because so many went out and bought them a few years back when this conversation happened, and they were saying we might take them back. So there's black market. There's always going to be these weapons, but I don't know what the fix is. But Diva, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I literally I'm at lunch. I called in because I was so happy. I'm being very rude. First off, oh, but do you have an Instagram? Because I'd like to reach out to you.
Oh, absolutely, I do. Listen, y'all got to help me with the technology. Wait, let me see. Let me go Insta here. Um, I think on the Insta, what is my name? I think it's Gray Hair Diva.
I
Yeah.
looked for that. I didn't see it.
Okay, you know what I'll do? I will try to put it in the description because I'm so bad. No, the gray head diva. The gray head diva.
The gray hair diva. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'll
Yep.
definitely
Okay.
reach out. There's some topics that I would love to have you on because, you know, I'm more of the mess and you bring you you bring a calmness. So there's some
Right.
topics that I think you'd be great for. I would love to collab.
Oh, I would love to. I would love to. Yep, definitely reach out. And it's the Gray Head Diva. So hit me up and I'll definitely respond. And thanks for stopping by.
No problem. And just as a FYI, you probably want to put that on your channel in your about section so that people can reach out to you.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you. Okay, you too. Bye. So, Gigi said, just imagine trauma that the child survivors will go through now and later in life. I pray for everyone touched by this horrific tragedy. I pray for everyone. My condolences to everyone. And I do agree with you. The trauma of it all. Just imagine you seeing your classmate and perhaps your friends like go in that way. Just imagine you having to touch the blood of one of your classmates or friends, put it over you so you can pretend that you are not alive just so you can survive. It's just tragic. I hate the phrase that guns don't kill people, people kill people. What an idiot thing to say. Each time I hear that, I want to sock the speaker in the mouth. Sometimes Gigi, like we misspeak, right? But we misspeak. So but I get what you're saying. But I mean, also now we're never going to know because this kid is not here, right? The kid is gone also that did it. But I there's what was going on in this child's mind, what was going on. And my thing is like, why the elementary school, why anywhere, right? But why the elementary school? Like I can't wrap my mind around it, and it's just so sad. And my thing is too, like, how sick are you that you see what you're doing to people and it still doesn't trigger you to stop? Like, I don't know. It's very sad. Is there any type of education for gun owners before they get their permit? That's what I'm trying to say, Sean. Like, what is the education? Like, do you have to go to a gun? Shouldn't you have to first go to, I don't even know if this makes sense, but maybe go to a gun range to see if you can shoot? I don't know, right? Like, and to me, your first weapon that you should be allowed to purchase should definitely not be a semi-automatic. It just doesn't make sense. I it, it's crazy to me. It's insane. And so my thought process is like, what can we do moving forward? How can we help this? I know that we are going to have to speak up. um we cannot, or in just because this tragedy didn't physically touch us, it's in our backyard and we have to do something about it. Blue Lives Matter, Officer Safety was a problem here. It's their job to put their life on the line. Now Pi 180, yes, I agree with you. So let me speak to that piece from what I know. I'm going to speak to it from what I know, right? So I did nursing, and when I did nursing, I was a pediatric nurse. And my thing is, and I did the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift, 12-hour shifts, right? And we had to do 3 days out of the week, unless we was working extra or something like that. And so I went to bed early. Because in peds, just to give you an idea, like a lot of adult medications, they're standard, right? Maybe 650 of Tylenol for certain things. They're antibiotics. It's a standard dose. With pediatrics, everything is based on their weight. So you give Tylenol, you give Motrin, you give this based on their weight. So we have to weigh these patients every single day. And I would tell my family, listen, I have to go to bed because I need to be wide awake and alert because someone else's family is in my hands, right? And so I miss Christmas, I miss holidays, I miss everything with my own family, but this is what I signed up for. So when in a lot of cops and nurses, if there's any nurses out there, cops, you kind of know this, like a lot of cops, nurses, EMTs, all of us, even if you don't know each other, like it's like a little, I'm gonna call it like an underground family, right? It's an underground family. So I'm not one that is so ready to say, something about the cops. It's like a little underground family. And so the thing is, though, but the point I'm trying to get at is when you sign up for certain professions, you sign up for what you sign up for. And that means that unfortunately, when you sign up to be a cop, you sign up that you're going to protect somebody's life over your own. When you sign up to be a firefighter, I can't stand outside the fire saying, oh my God, I can't go in there. Now, there are cases where they tell the fire department, like, okay, that's it, because the building is going to collapse. Like, we can't let anybody else in there. It is what it is. But the immediate point is you run in there and you go save as many lives as you can. So do you kind of get what I'm saying with that? So I think we do know this. These officers, something a lot went wrong that day, and a lot of lives were lost. And all we can say is that we hope and pray that education and things change as a result of that tragedy, where there's many reports saying that it was hours before they went in. Okay, but I don't know facts on that. But that's what many reports are saying. Hi, Diva and Channel, joining late, just getting home. Hey, Lisa, thanks for joining. So, okay, oh, Gigi, okay, my husband is an ex-LA cop, had to lock up his service gun at home. So why would an 18-year-old have access to freely assault a weapon? America is backwards. America is backwards. And okay, so Gigi, I have a lot of friends that are NYPD, and they have so much responsibility in terms of their weapon. That in and of itself can be stressful and exhausting. Like the way that they have to make sure that nothing happens with their weapon at any given time. So it's a stressful job. It's a lot, and you too much is given, much is required, and it's not easy on any side of the house. And although, again, with the news, we always hear the bad things that maybe one group does, but those bad things don't represent everything about the particular group, right? And because literally right now, something were to go down in my house, I'm dialing 911, okay? So it's like, but what do we do to stop people being having such easy access to weapons on the streets? That's really how I feel. It's like, what do we do? Like, how do we go about fixing this? How do we go about changing this? How do we go about protecting our babies? Listen, kids they learn their first way of socializing. I have a best friend from grammar school that I am still friends with to this day. And it's like, this is where you learn how to build relationships. So imagine the very place that you go to learn, the very place that you go to make friendships and lifelong memories. I would be petrified, even as a teacher, to go back to that school. And that's another thing. We do not pay our teachers enough money. It's disgusting what some teachers get paid. I have some friends that are teachers that have to work two jobs. I have some friends that work in the inner city, and they literally are working two jobs so that they can get supplies that they need in their classroom. I mean, God bless all of these teachers. And it's like, and there were two teachers, right? Lay down their lives probably for those kids, and now they're not here. It is sad, and we definitely have got to do better. It's tragic. And I think we are going to have to start with, looking into our laws here, looking into the way that things are being done, and protecting our children more, and even ourselves. Because remember, this Buffalo supermarket shooting, again, that was an 18-year-old. Why should an 18-year-old have access to a deadly weapon? It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why do they need that? Their brains are not even fully developed. These kids, listen, when these young teenagers drive, for me, I don't know, my state is so high anyway, but as soon as my son gets his license, my car insurance jumps up astronomically, because when I spoke to the insurance person, they said because boys seem to have tons of accidents when they're first driving. So if we know in some instances that your brain is not fully developed and you're not capable of making good decisions at a certain point in your life, why would we say it's okay for an 18-year-old to buy a semi-automatic weapon and go into a situation as such, and then get all of this ammunition? It's sad. It's also sad that, yes, such a tragedy. Yes, Lisa, such a tragedy, and so sad. And listen, on the flip side too, I will say this. There obviously was something going on with this kid. I couldn't get all the details, but I did hear some reports that allegedly he had just gotten out of jail. So what's going on here? But we must stop including Dems on this mess. They tried to change the laws over 10 years ago. The Republicans have blocked it every time. Yeah, I mean, and that's what, Melissa, we kind of said earlier, that at this point every party needs to come together, right? This is not a person thing or a B person thing or a C person thing. This is a everybody thing. And you know, in a minute it's going to hit all of us. It's just running rampant right now. It's just insanity. It's like, what is going on? Why are we not a little more outraged? I read earlier, if some of y'all go back, and I'll just read one of them again, but there are four countries when they had such tragedies, right away they jumped on it and changed the laws. So I mentioned earlier, in Britain in 1987, the guy name was Michael Robert Ryan. He gunned down 16 people in Hungerford, England. In response, officials called for an investigation into how he even got the legal ownership of the guns he used. And then they passed a Firearms Act in 1988 that outlawed semi-automatic weapons. So at the very least, we can change some laws. And I mean, if you get it illegally, then that's different. But these last two tragedies, they both had legal weapons. Why is that allowed? Why is that so? Why aren't we more outraged? Why aren't we trying to do more about this situation? And again, I think our best thing that we can do as the lay people is try to what was I going to say? Try to look into your local law officials, write letters. Actually, you know what? A lot of them, because I sent an email to a local official about, something. It was very small, like in my town, that was going on. And they all have email addresses. So literally, you can sit at your computer and write an email. But I think when it's something at this level, it's going to take all of us. It's going to take so many people to make a lot of noise to make change happen. It's like you can't even send your kid to school anymore. Like, what has this come to? Yeah, so Melissa says, yep, other countries changed the laws immediately. Yes, they did. But we have an NRA issue here in the States that is running the show. Melissa, I looked it up, and you are correct. I'm mortified, but they support a lot of politicians. To run in politics, even if you're running in your local town as a mayor, as a council person, or something like that, it costs a lot of money to run, right? Even those little signs you see they put up in people's lawns, all of that is money driven. And yes, the NRA is behind a lot of these large officials. They're in bed with them, and that's why they don't want to make change and speak against it. And I'm going to say this, that unfortunately, if it was closer to their home, I wonder how they would feel about it then. And when I say closer to their home, like if it happened to somebody that they actually physically knew, like what would they do? I live gated, but it's sad we don't even feel safe in our homes, right? I keep my security system on at all times, and the cameras. Sad way to live, but we don't all know our neighbors and their capability. Let me tell you something, Gigi. As a result of a lot of things, I have ADT. I don't live in a gated community, right? But I have ADT. But I won't, I'm going to tell you the truth. There were times where I was very lax on, you can get a false sense of being comfortable so easy. It's a little crazy, right? But I would be lax on, like, putting it on, because sometimes, like, I would be ditzy. I really had to learn about the when you're in home, when you put your alarm on in your home, like the at home mode. And sometimes I would think I put the at home mode on, and then I get up to go to the bathroom, and then the alarm is screaming, and then like in a panic mode, I'm forgetting the code to stop it, and then I'm trying to stop it, and then they're calling me on the phone asking me if I'm okay, and then I know my neighbors is like, oh my God. So my townhouse development, it's not, how do you say, it's not separated, it's attached, right? So I share walls with the person to my right and the person to my left. And then I said earlier that, again, my little false sense of security is two doors down from me, my girlfriend, her son is state police and he lives with her. But that doesn't mean that everybody, there no burglar coming or anybody like that. They don't know that there's a state police living two doors down. But all of that gave me a false sense of feeling stable. But I will say this, because of everything that's going on now, I'm getting more diligent with using my alarm system. And I also have the Ring that is sitting on my thing in my dining room that I'm about to get that hooked up to. But as you stated, it's a sad way to live. It's disgusting, and it's very sad. We don't know the names of the individuals stopping the law from getting changed. More streamlined info is needed. We do need more info. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. Diva, I don't trust the police at this point with their slow response. We'll almost have to protect ourselves. Well, yeah. Well, okay. So let's talk about the slow response, right? We need more details. And I get you, Dime, right? We need more details. This is tragic. This is tragic. And I'm trying to see both sides of the coins here, right? What I'm not liking with this situation is they changing the story every time you blink your eyes. Like it's changing. A security guard was there, but then he wasn't. Somebody left the door propped open. That's how he got in. But then they said he passed the security, and security's confronted him, and then shots were exchanged. Then the most tragic part to me is that a lot of the parents apparently were begging the cops to go in there and stop this man. And, now they were in the hallway for 45 minutes. We need more details. And Dime, the best I can say about trusting the police is this: just like we know every person in, like, just like, yeah, I'll use my own culture for example, right? Black, right? Just like we know every Black person is not bad, trust me, every cop is not bad, right? So it's like, and it's a shame that the bad ones, they seem to represent the whole group at that particular moment. And I think that they definitely needed more training. I feel like somebody was scared, but again, Dime, I heard that the chief is the one that made the call. And literally, when you're in situations like that, you have to listen. You're supposed to listen to your superior. And I read that the chief is the one that made the call to say, do not go in, because he felt like it was no longer an active shooting situation. It was a barricade situation. And then he later said it was a bad call. But to me, I don't care if it was active or barricaded situation. I felt like you still should have went in. But again, I thought about it some more and said, okay, if you would have went in guns blazing, then maybe some of their bullets might have hit some other kids. So either way, this situation is tragic. And we do agree that there probably was a better way to handle it. But what better way was it? I can't say up front. I don't know if where that classroom was, instead of them going into school, maybe they could have approached it by going by the windows. I don't know. Now, I will say this also, it's something I learned about the schools. Like sometimes if you ever pass the school, they may have numbers in the window or something in the window. And a friend told me that is all for the fire department, right? So I don't know if maybe they need to put some numbers or something in the windows so that it would be for the police departments in case a tragedy like this arise. So true, we need to know who they are. Yeah, we don't know. It's crazy. And the parents were slammed to the ground. That I heard also, Melissa, because they wanted to see about their kids. Um, I heard that also. This thing is so heart-wrenching because a lot of people saying that the parents were not treated correctly either. Um, there's a lot of stories flying around about this, and I think I'm not positive, guys. I think part of them changing their story is because encounters from people in the inside are debunking some of the things that they said. And now they have no choice but to say, okay, no, that wasn't true. But I did hear that also, like that happened too. Now, Pepper spray again. So here's the thing with that, right? Another unfortunate piece is, what are the trainings in different police departments on how to handle people in a crisis situation, right? So again, I can only go back to what I know. So working in the hospital, right? There are people that the doctor is going to have to come in, and they usually already bring a nurse with them, and maybe clergy or some other people to give them, unfortunately, maybe a bad diagnosis. When I had, because again, I worked in pediatrics, and when I had to put an IV in a baby, as an adult, even if you're scared of needles, you're going to hold your arm out because you know what we got to do, right? As a baby, they're kicking, they're screaming. You got to wrap this baby up, papoose this baby, get somebody to hold the arm for you so you can get it in, and try to get it in with just one stick. And I had literally had parents over me cursing me out and screaming and saying, you better not miss. But I was trained how to deal with that, understanding that they're really not mad at you. They're emotional about the situation. So I don't know what these different departments go through and how they learn how to handle people in a crisis, because I would have said to all the parents, give us a minute. I understand. We're trying to figure out what's going on. We don't need you and your child getting hurt. So we're working this out. We're doing something to get in there to save everybody. But pepper spraying them and knocking them to the ground, definitely was dead wrong and not the answer. Hey, Nita, how are you? The men and women in blue take an oath and they know the risk. I do agree with that. Oftentimes they step right in the face of danger, risking their lives and their families. Sometimes it's hard. It's a hard call to make. Oh, it definitely is. But again, and similar, Gigi, to the men and women of blue, the same thing that doctors do, the same thing that nurses do. You take an oath. To your duty is to the patient. Your duty is to the patient. And as a man, a woman, and a man of blue, your duty is to the public. You take that oath, right? Diva, I'm not too far from where this happened, and I'm just sick at how this was handled. Okay, Chi-Town, the ball was dropped terribly by the local police. I do agree with that. And I know they realize that now, but you realize that unfortunately after 19 children and 2 teachers are gone, and we might as well add a third victim to this, because I believe that teacher husband would have still been here, had his wife not passed in this tragedy. Okay, or I'm saying passed, but unfortunately was killed in this tragedy. So definitely the ball was dropped. Definitely they need help. They need a lot of training. There's a lot that went on, but again, I'm going to say, from the information I have right now, it starts with that chief of police, because I heard that he said, things changed. He said, oh, it's not an active shooting scene anymore. It's a barricade scene, and they handled it differently, and things went away wrong. Um, as a school counselor, if things don't change, we are in for more pain like this. Oh, Stefan, you're a school counselor. Listen, my heart goes out to everybody that works in the schools, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Because as a teacher, you go through so much sometimes. Some of these teachers, before they can even teach the kids, like I said, I know a lot of teachers, they're literally buying, depending upon what school system you're in, they're literally buying supplies for these kids with money out of their own pockets. Okay, there's a lot that needs to be changed in the school systems. There's a lot more respect that needs to go to teachers and everybody that works in these schools. No teacher should have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to survive. And they're literally watching over our children, and now they got to protect our children. And that's just insane, right? They're watching over our children almost 8 hours out the day, and we as a country have to do better. So thanks, Stephanie, for being a school counselor. And my hat goes off to you. I have a child the same age as you, and I'm very nervous about sending my child back to school. Chi-Town, I would be nervous too. I'm not going to lie to you. The other day, now my son is in high school. The other day, usually my son never calls me like during school time. And the other day he called me, and I was on a call, and I'm just like, I was on a conference call, and I was just like, why is he calling me? He never calls me during the day. So I hung up from the conference call, and I answered his call. Now I could choke this boy, because all he wanted me to go to his room and get his debit card so he could buy this vinyl that had dropped. And I'm like, kid, you're freaking me out here. You're scaring me, and you just want your debit card. But yes, I would be afraid to send my child to school too. Like, now, school is like a safety zone. Like, where your kid is at, and you feel good. And now we can't even feel good when our kid is in school. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, hi, Gabor. Thank you. Look at you at the gym. I went earlier. Okay. So thanks, Gabor, for listening in. So yes, it's like, how do we send our children to school? How do we feel safe? And wait a minute, we should be outraged. I'm gonna tell you this. I just thought about this. The taxes that we pay and the amount that they claim goes to the schools, they should be able to do better. Now, I live in the state of New Jersey. New Jersey is pure insanity when it comes to taxes. I have friends that pay $10,000 a year on their home in taxes, which is just, it's just insane. It's just insane. It just doesn't make any sense. I think I pay. I tried to stop looking because it makes me. I get nauseated behind it, and I really want to move, but I'm so used to the tri-state area. But literally, my house is this big. It's a townhouse. It's this big, and $6,500 in taxes, which just doesn't make any sense. It's just crazy. But they're getting our tax dollars, and we have to speak up. I feel for the parents sending kids to school today. This is unnerving for parents and children. Schools used to be a place for safety. Now, not so much. It definitely was. And in a lot of inner city areas too, like some areas, it was like, at least when you knew your kid was in school, you knew they were safe for that moment. And now we can't even, like you said, not so much. So now, Stephan, I agree. I work for the legal system, and the reports that I have seen, you are correct. It starts with the chief of police, but it's also political. Yeah, it's politics. It was the chief of police that had made the call on the scene that day. It's a lot. Stephen. Okay, all right, Stephen. Thank you. My name is Stephen. Okay. But thanks for the love to us who worked in the school and deal with a lot. Yes, much love. Yep. I couldn't imagine getting a call. Let me tell you something. Even if I had 5 kids, I couldn't imagine getting a call about one, but I only have one. And I told my girlfriend the other day, just put me in the ground with him, because I would be done. And it's so horrific because like I said, I believe some of them were at the school earlier with their child for an award ceremony. So could you imagine, like, you saw, and imagine the stuff you're playing in your head saying, like, I wish I would have took my kid home with me after that award ceremony. It's horrific. Diva comes south. I adjusted, and the living is easy, and taxes are reasonable, but crime is growing though. Yeah, that. So let me tell you something, Gigi. So I have 2 sisters, a brother, and my mom and dad are still alive. Like, God bless, right? So my mom lives 15 minutes away from me. My mother just turned 76 this year. My dad lives in the city. My dad is 80. His birthday's in August. I got to get his exact 80, whatever, right? But my dad is in his 80s, and he still lives on his own. He does everything. And I go to the city all the time, and I see him. So the only one that doesn't live in the same state is my brother. My brother lives in the DMV area, and we all like see each other. So I go to church with my family. During the pandemic, I would literally, I would go buy the food for myself and my mom, and then I would go bring my mom her food and everything. Like, so in order for me to move, I personally would want, all of my family to move too, so we can all be together. So my brother is trying to talk us all to come into the DMV area. I don't know if that ever is going to happen, but if these taxes don't change, then it will happen for me. I will move. It's getting to be insane. And the amount of taxes I pay, and the amount of money I pay for car insurance and all of that, it's just, I don't even know how we eat dinner at night. It's like we're lucky. I said, if I would have lost my innocent 10-year-old, I would have had to finish off grandma and go get the mama, daddy, and pow pow, brother, sister, the whole bloodline. Yeah. You know what's sad, Gabor, is that um I don't know what was going on with that kid. I don't know what was going on with that kid. And here's the thing with grandparents, like God bless grandparents who have to raise their children's children, because it's not easy, and it's like, you're tired, and you're a little more trusting as a grandparent, like, that, oh, they're in there, they say they're in their room doing their homework. My mother's like, well, he said he was up there doing it. I'm like, Ma, check it. Like, don't just listen to him. So it's like they're a little more lenient. And so for my son too, his grandparents for both sides, for his dad's side and my side are still alive. And his grandparents from his dad's side, he was the first grandchild. So forget about it. Like they just give that boy everything. I grew up in Chicago. My mother was a principal. Oh, wow. For 38 years. Things have definitely changed. And I think metal detectors are needed in every school. One office just isn't enough on campus. One officer, yeah. One officer definitely isn't enough, and especially how big some of these schools are. They call it per diem in nursing, right? Instead of just saying a part-time job, which is the same as a part-time job, but they call it per diem. I did per diem, and I used to do school nursing because I wanted to be out of the clinical side of it, right? When I would do my per diem or my extra hours. So I would do school nursing. I went to one school, and I swear I've never seen this, where what is before high school? Is it called, it's not middle school. Is middle school, and is it middle school then high school? Well, if it's middle school and then high school, the middle school and the high school were connected by like a bridgeway, a pathway. So that meant that sixth, seventh, and eighth graders were literally in the same vicinity or area of these high school students, and they only had two security guards, and this school was massive. It took blocks in that neighborhood, and I was shocked. I was telling, so, and then they had more than one nurse too, because they had a nurse for the high school and they had a nurse for the middle school. And I've never seen anything like it. But you're right, one security guard is not enough, because when I was walking through the bridge, and there's so many like little hidden things in that school. Like under the staircase, I saw, I don't know if they was high school students. Because sometimes you can't tell. Some eighth graders look like they're in high school. Some ninth graders look like they're in middle school. But there was two kids like under the staircase just making out. And I was like, excuse me, what are you doing? Go to class, blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't even the main nurse in that school. So I'm thinking, like you said, if there's only one security, like how's that sufficient, right? Oh, so Stephen, the shooter was addicted to gaming. I know a lot of people, they want to blame they're blaming a lot of things. They're blaming the social media, they're blaming the gaming, they're blaming this. But there's a lot of people that game all day long, and they're not going out there offing people. Um, in the South, there's a saying that says, if you don't raise your kids, you end up raising your grandkids. Whoa, whoa. Well, you know what? I'm gonna use that saying now. Whoa, that's interesting. That's interesting. Diva, I moved cross country. It's just a mindset. You can always visit family. I know, or do as my family are now doing, moving south with me. They love it on their visits here. We may be coming to the DMV area. We may be coming to the DMV area, because I'm telling you, my taxes are just, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. Um, I'm from Texas. We didn't have an officer in elementary school. We had one middle school and five in the high school. Wow. Yeah, I didn't. I'm originally from New York. And, but I'm 52, so maybe I just don't remember. But I don't remember there being security in the school. I don't. I would have to ask my sister, but I really don't remember there being security in the school. But I did a mix. I did a mix of public school and Catholic school. In the Catholic school, I know there wasn't security. And in the Catholic school, I don't remember even if the doors were locked back then. I don't. I feel like I remember my parents freely walking in and out of school. I'm not sure though. I don't remember, but I really don't. I think the schools being locked is a recent thing. And the reason why I'm thinking it's a recent thing, remember that movie that was based on a true story? I can't remember the name of it right now. But he kind of changed. He turned around that high school. I want to say it's a high school. It was a high school in LA where he actually would put chains on the door and lock the school down because it was so much gang violence. And he kept getting fined by the fire department and all of that. But he really turned that school around. So I don't know how, like, at what point did we start locking down the school? Heck, we went when we went to high school, we had open quarters and doors. I'm aging myself. I'll stop. No, Miss Gigi, listen, listen, listen. Same here. Good boy, we say that here also in the East Coast. Yeah, okay. Well, you know that y'all gave me something new. Okay. And Andrew, I live in Texas now, and my son is in elementary school. There are offices in the school now. Wow. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. It's the truth, good boy. Yeah, they're talking about not raising your kids. Okay. Not enough checkpoints. Security needs to be 20 feet before the front entry and then again at the main entry. I agree. We need more officers in the schools now because that's the state of the world right now. There are some dark things on the internet my students are exposed to. Stephen, same here. A situation happened at my son's school and the kid got removed, but I don't know. And of course, they don't give us, you can't tell us somebody else's information. I'm hoping that kid got help because something very serious happened. And now because everyone has a cell phone, they're able to show other kids this information like on their cell phones. That is kind of like the situation that happened at my son's school. Now, cell phones is a whole nother thing. Again, I only have one son, right? So we called it double digits. When he had his double digit party, when he went from 9 to 10, we got him a cell phone. If I was ever to do it over again, I would never get him a cell phone that young. I wouldn't, but you know, you live and learn. Hindsight is everything. There's some, yeah. Yes, our high school students were like dangerous minds. We used to have brawls, shaking my head. I went to all girls Catholic high school. The officer in elementary school don't stay there all day, which needs to change. Oh, so maybe, but it was kind of early in the day when it initially started, and they didn't go into hours later. I wonder maybe if this was the case, like maybe I don't know. We need to know. We got to find out more on that. Okay, so Melissa, you didn't have security either. I'm in my 40s, but we had metal detectors. Yeah, I think it depends on what school you go to. I think I know for sure now the high school I went to in the Bronx, like I said, I went to two. They do have metal detectors now. I don't know how soon like they had them. I don't remember. My twins' high school had one police in the AM at drop off times only. Wow. Well, look at you with the twins. That's nice. Lean on Me. Thank you. Thank you. It was Lean on Me. Was that a New Jersey high school? I swore it was LA. Okay, yes, but I am talking about the movie Lean on Me. You are correct. Okay, so internet and violent video games are rearing our children. There are no more big mamas because Big Mama is now 46. To strong Parents need to strong hand parent. Gigi, I'll say this. There are no big mamas now because everybody wants to do this. The 40 is the new 30. 50 is the new 40. No one wants to grow up. No one wants to be big mama. No one wants to take on the responsibility. Everybody want to do this. Let's stay young forever. I'll leave that there. But that's part of the problem too. Nobody wants to stand in and do that. Hey, Diva, I'm a New Yorker who lives in the DMV area. They did have security at my high school in Queens. What high school did you go to in Queens? I'm originally from the Bronx. Okay, so you're in what did you say? How did you say? Yeah. What high school did you go to in Queens? Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, I think yeah, he needs a cell phone at 10, even earlier. He needs to be able to reach out to you at any given time. Just make sure he doesn't have internet and apps. Right. So now my son is 16. He'll be 17 in July. And I will, like in hindsight, like I said, I definitely would have. I did have Parent Patrol on the phone. but I don't even know how to work the phone that well myself. So I don't even know if I was working the parent patrol that well. But yes, you are right. Block the internet and them darn apps. Oh, so that school was in Paterson, New Jersey, Stephen? But I mean, I think it's good. Yeah. Okay. Are you went to Pat school with Pat Springfield High? Oh, Springfield High. Okay. I don't know Springfield High. Now, was Boys and Girls, was that in Brooklyn? Boys and Girls High? I'm not sure. Okay. That's true too, but we still got babies having babies. We do have babies having babies. There's a lot of conversations that we need to have in order to begin the healing of the world and the people, right? But it's like no one wants to have them. Everybody's very sensitive. And, some people are of the mindset because I did it, what right do I have to tell somebody else not to do it? I'm of the mindset of telling someone, listen, I bumped my head when I went down that road. If you don't want to bump your head, don't go down that road. And let me tell you the other things that happened to me as a result of doing this versus that. No one wants to do that anymore. But yes, there are babies having babies. So freaking right. We got to grow up. I hate when people say that. Yes, I do too. It's just like, no, 40 is 40, 50 is 50. You still look good. And it's okay because someone said to me, well, if you don't want to grow up, what's the alternative? It's like, you're not being here. Don't you want to live? It's crazy. Our son has a cell phone and he is 11. Kids need phones, but parents need to monitor them and have a security check on it as well. Chi-Town, I agree. So I had my son at 35 and I'm not tech savvy, but I had a check on it, but I don't know how much I checked the check. Do you know what I mean? But I agree with you. The kids do need a phone now, especially and then you know what? One of the kids in that school, I want to say it was the same girl that was playing like she was dead, right? She called 911 several times using the teacher's phone. God bless that girl. That's all I can say. And I know she's gonna need a lot of therapy. I miss most of it. Hi everyone. Hi, how are you? We're just talking about just the whole situation and tragedy that just happened at that Robb Elementary School, how we need to go about making change and letting change happen. Oh, you still have family in Co-op City. I still have family in Mount Vernon. But actually, one of my cousins that I used to always go see in Mount Vernon, she just moved to Atlanta. She lives in Atlanta. And she keeps telling me to come. I'm going to go see her this summer, but I'm not staying. I think grandparents are watching the kids, but they aren't spending the majority of their time at Big Mama like we used to. Gabor, you are correct. I promise you, every summer, I used to go to my grandparents' house, my father's parents. They had a small farm. And every summer, we literally, when school got out, 2 days later, my mother was free of us. And we was with my grandparents the whole summer until it was time for us to come back. Now, let me tell you, this is how we used to call it. I don't know, how they do it now with the kids, but until it was time to come back to go school shopping, where we would buy our school clothes, we would buy all the notebooks and stuff that we needed. So we would stay with my grandparents literally until it was time to go school shopping, and then we go back to school. And every summer until I protested, we would go to my grandparents' house, and my grandmother taught me a lot. She taught me a lot. Um, Ever heard of wraparound services? Evaluations are needed monthly because a lot of students are slipping through the cracks. Their grades fail, they miss days or drop out and no follow-up. I never heard of that, Pi 180. That's good. Now, I do know this. I don't know what it's like now, right? But I do. So my son's school, the minute literally the minute, because one day I was taking him to his dental appointment and I just forgot to call the school. Literally, when the bell rung and the first teacher took attendance, they was calling my phone and saying, where is he? Is he sick or whatever? And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna bring him soon. He had to go to the dentist, right? So that day I think he was getting his braces off and I was like, oh, we're gonna be there soon. But literally, once they take first attendance, if he's not there, they call him. When I was growing up, they had truancy officers, but again, I don't know how that really worked, but they did try to connect with the parents when the child wasn't coming to school. but also I grew up in the Bronx, and I grew up like, very poor. And when I'm saying that like very poor, I mean like a lot of those schools, they didn't have the resources to keep up with the kids who wasn't really going to school. So by the time somebody like they really reached out about somebody, that person hasn't been to school like in weeks, and a truancy officer is what they called it back for me, got involved. Good boy, Big Mama is wearing the kids because the parents are not for this and that and the other reasons, yeah, are not there. Okay. Every Friday when my mama picked us up from school, she already had our bags packed to spend the weekend at our grandma. Yes. When my grandmother still lived in this city, Gabor, yes, it was like, but you know what though? You know what I think the beauty of that? Listen, as parents, you do need a break. You do need a break. And I think the beauty of that was the parents got a break. The child got a break from their parents, and got to learn and see something different. Now, my grandmother tried to teach me how to cook, but that wasn't who I was. So I used to always just sit there and be like, I don't want to do it. But I did have to snap peas and do other stuff to help prepare the cooking and listen to my grandmother tell me different things about life that I guess I was listening, but I didn't pay much attention then, but it connected with me later on in life. My grandmother would have known we was coming, wouldn't even know we was coming. My mama is the only child, so my grandmother didn't mind. That is nice. That's nice. So Steven said, Big Mama checked on kids and adults in the family. Yes. Yes. And we're losing that sense of family. We really are. My mother used to get a call by third period if I was there, but now you don't get a call until 6 p.m. Wow. And again, you know what? I think is based on the resources in the school. Now, my son's school is not that big. So literally, and he goes to an all boys school. So literally, by the time they do roll call in first period, once that's done and they send to the office who's not there, the office is calling that parent. Um, Big Mama didn't play and she kept order in the family. Yes, she did. Big Mama kept order in the family, and I really wish we can get back to that. Now, I grew up in apartment buildings in the Bronx, and literally, like, if my mother, because my mother, there was a time period where she did a night shift. There was time periods where she did a day shift, but even if my mother wasn't home, so I remember I have my two sisters are older than me, but we're like stair steps, so they're only like we like 2 years apart, and but my mother's friend in the building, we would be in her house eating dinner. Can you imagine? So she was feeding, and remember, this we're not talking a lot of money here. So she was feeding her kids, and she was feeding my mom kids, and then my mom would do the same for her. And I really feel like now everybody's about self. It's like, oh, well, you hungry? I don't care. I'm not helping you. It's none of my business. Yeah, it's very sad. Big Mama has to work 2 full-time jobs these days. People ain't retiring now to 80. Well, let the redeemed say so. I may be one of those. So I got to move this out the way right now. It's giving me anxiety. You are correct. And if I stay in New Jersey, I'll probably be working till I'm 100. But but I can't. It's just everything is so out of control and expensive now. I used to go fill up my car. My car takes regular gas. I want to say $35. I think the other day, I just didn't even want to wrap my mind around it. It was like $50 and the needle still didn't say full. I was like, this is crazy. This is insane. The supermarket is crazy. I had spent $50 and I had one bag. And the fact that they're charging for bags now, the whole thing is ticking me off. You're right, Chi-Town. These days, Big Mama is 45 years old and still working. That is very true. I will agree with you on that. My grandmother didn't work. My grandmother didn't work. Yes, they called my mom by 6 p.m. Let her know we missed school. Yeah, yeah. So now it's a little instantaneously, at least with my son's school. I miss the grandmas. My husband and I haven't had a break from our kids in 17 years. I'm screaming for someone older to put some knowledge in their brains. I know, I know. And again, I'm very fortunate. Like I said, I have one. Now, here's the thing. I do wish my son, he has another sibling. His sibling is very young. He's, I'm gonna say, well, he got to be 12 or 15 years old, or maybe 12 or 13 years older than his other sibling, from his dad's side. But I really do wish my son had some brothers and sisters from me, because I felt like, with my brothers and sisters, we always took care of each other. And I often think to myself, like, who's going to have his back? But I have a girlfriend that her daughter is born in February. My son was born in July. And everywhere we go, they think these two are twins. But so they're kind of like each other, brother and sister. Um, let's not talk gas prices, $120 to fill the tank. Gigi, you have a truck. You must have a truck or SUV like that. That's just insane to me. It's crazy. We need to stick together and live with multi generations within one household. We can all look out for one another. I totally, totally agree with you. I really do. I really do. So Chi-Town, you're correct. Melissa, yes. If you didn't have it, then it ain't real. LOL, JK. If you didn't have it, then it ain't real. LOL. What do you mean, Gabor? I meant maybe it was to some other thing. I don't know what you're talking about there. It takes a village to raise a child. That was the same back in the day, not now. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. But it's like, no one's that, I don't know. It's like you have to try to get out and get to know your neighbors. My neighbor the other day, because my car is a '09. And so she's 13. What is that? Is that 13 years old or 12 years old? She's a '09. She's trying to leave me and I'm begging her to stay. Because again, I have a friend that just bought a car. Like, they're blaming everything now in the pandemic, right? Oh, prices are high because of the pandemic. Prices are high because of this. But I had a girlfriend she bought a new car, and she paid over the sticker price. And I'm just like, I can't even wrap my mind around that. Like, that's just insane to me. It's insane. But that is what's going on right now in the world. I have to use 93 in my car, 6.25 per gallon. Oh my gosh. So then I'm sure it costs you almost $100 and something too to fill up your tank. That's crazy. Yeah, it's just insane. If you didn't have your son's siblings. Oh, I know. I know it's way too late, Gabor. It's way too late. I would have to adopt some for it, but yeah. But like I said, my girlfriend, like my best friend, we've been friends for over 20 something years. Her daughter and him are the same age, and those two are thick as thieves. And I tell them all the time, you're gonna have to look out for each other. I agree there. Our 11-year-old has my older children that look out for him, which are 26, 22, and 18. Look at you. Nice. That's beautiful. Yeah. I think it's, having siblings. Yeah. Having siblings is a nice thing. Oh, my truck is 15 years old, and I tell her every day that I love her because I'm not buying. I'm not buying right now. Yes, but listen, talk to my baby. I've been telling her, I'm like, listen, I love you. Hang on. She's trying to leave me. And you could. I have 277,000 miles on my little. It's the mini SUV. And she is like, I just had to get a radiator in her. So I'm hoping we're going to see. Can you even buy a new car these days? The dealership lots are darn near bare. My niece waited 4 months to get her new car. Wow. I don't know. I am going to go looking, right? I'm going shopping only because I don't want it to go and then I'm desperate. Is your friend daughter the only child? She is the only child from her mother, similar situation to like mine, but her dad has many other children. So, but before the pandemic, we always went on vacation together. So since they were born up into the pandemic, whatever year that was, every single year we went on vacation together with them. They've been to Disney together maybe 5, 6 times. They've been on several cruises together. And this year, we were supposed to go to, they're still going. I want to say Cancun or wherever, but I let our passport expire. So I don't know if we're going to make it. It's in July, but I'm going to see what we can do, but they're really close. We got to get back to basics, gardening, cooking, checking in with one another, slow down. I totally wholeheartedly agree with you. I don't have I have community space, right? So I can't garden. I have community space in like in the front of my house, which is beyond this window here. I do have um, like a flower bed, like a space that I'm responsible for. But of course, I can't plant food there. But I would love to. Like, I'm really, really trying to get into just, eating differently, exercise, and all of that. So I'm trying to do better. But you're correct. We need to look out for each other. But everybody is for self these days. Um, I always wanted a Jeep and Grand Cherokee, but I'm glad I have a small car now. That gas went up on Capricorn moon goddess. Yes, you better be glad, because the gas right now is nasty. And listen, where I'm at, Jersey, we don't, Jersey girls, we don't pump gas. And now they're trying to pass a law where we pump our own gas. And that's when I'm going to literally pass out. Diva, you can do an expedite. Yes, someone told me that. Someone told me that. So I have to do that. But let me tell you what held me up too. So my son, he's taking driving lessons next month in June. And with the driving school, they took his birth certificate. It's a whole hot mess going on right now. And I'm like, why does everybody need your original documents? I really don't like that. But that's the way it is. You got to give your original documents. So right now, the driving school has his birth certificate, but I am going to try to expedite it because I really want to go hang out with them. So back to basics is right. We have a small veggie garden, and my husband raised livestock as a side hustle, now about to be a necessity. Yes, it is a necessity. Yes, everyone, I forgot to say that. Everyone have a great Memorial Day weekend. Listen, guys, thanks for joining me for this conversation. My nail girl is probably going to be like, where were you? Thanks for joining me for this conversation. And I really want to kind of close out and say this. One, my condolences. Oh, yes. Oh, is that what it is? You said 911 changed everything. Yes. Oh, okay. So you're saying before 911 we didn't have to give them all our business. You are correct. I forgot about that. You are correct. But now, even when you go to the DMV, there's like 6 points. You got to show this, you got to show that, you got to show everything. It drives me bananas. Yeah. I lost my son's social security card. I went to the social security office to just get a replacement card. And so they told me on the phone everything I needed to bring. I brought all his stuff, and I brought his school ID. When I brought his school ID, this woman was like, well, where is he? I said, he's in school. She was like, well, how do I know this is him? And I was looking like, is she serious right now? She would not give me this replacement social security card. She said I had to bring him, or bring a letter from the school, or bring a letter from his doctor. And I'm saying to myself, how stupid is this, right? I could literally go home, not that I would do it, and type up a letter from a doctor. Like, are you kidding me right now? That's what I had to do. So when he got out of school, I brought him back with me. And I could have brought any kid there. Like, it was so stupid. Then they just looked at him and said, okay. And then I get everything. Like, I was like, this is stupid. I can't do this with these people right now. So listen, everybody, I want to say this. Thank you so much for stopping by. And we definitely have to be active, right? And really help to make a difference in these gun laws, because we're losing too many innocent lives. And even besides the lives that we lost, the innocent people left behind, and the trauma that they're going to have to go through to even try and remotely wrap their minds around this, it's a lot of work, and a lot of support, and a lot of intervention needs to happen. So write your local politicians. We have to make a change. Remember, I said there was 200. I'm trying to look back at my notes here, but I want to say in the United States, 274 mass shootings since 2009. This has got to stop. And they said 1,536 people lives were lost as a result of these mass shootings. So we got to do something to make a change. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. And also, I'll see you in the next video, and have an amazing weekend. I'll see you soon. Bye.